What's up and welcome to My Point of View. I am your fat and opinionated host, and apparently Bryan Kohberger has been speaking out about this Idaho 4 case. And he is singing the same tune that he was singing when he first got caught. You might remember that when they were getting ready to transfer Bryan Kohberger from Pennsylvania to Idaho, he said something along the lines of that he was eager to be exonerated. Well, according to sources, he is singing that same tune. He is confident that he will be exonerated, but where is this confidence coming from? You know, part of me believes that Bryan Kohberger was really confident that he would not have gotten caught in the first place. Well, we see how that worked out for him. And now he's redirected this confidence into lying to himself, saying, "Oh, I'm confident I will be exonerated." Now, if you were so confident about not getting caught and you got caught, what makes you think that you should have any shred or ounce of confidence left? But is there a possibility that maybe, I don't want to say that Bryan wanted to get caught, but is there a possibility that he never really had confidence that he wouldn't get caught, but he had confidence that if he did get caught, that he would be able to beat the charges? That's what I'm wondering, because we know about Bryan's education. And I don't necessarily think that this is just a front that he is putting on. Like, I believe that there's a huge possibility that Bryan in his mind is confident that he is smart enough to get away with this. But in my opinion, I don't think he's going to get away with it, no. I think they're going to roast him over an open fire like a freaking marshmallow stuffed between two stale graham crackers. I don't think this dude's going to get away with this at all. But there's that confidence there that he has for a reason, according to these sources. But you know, when I looked at all of the evidence that they have against him so far that we know of, which is just the tip of the iceberg, I feel like I've almost already seen enough to prove that this guy is guilty. And that's before we've even had access to what they may have found on his computer, what they may have found in his vehicle, what they may have found at his parents' house. And we still don't know everything that they may have found at his apartment or at the Idaho 4 home. You may think we know, but I guarantee you they do not need to tell you if they don't want to. But I want you all to watch this clip from the mainstream media as they go over what these sources have said that Bryan Kohberger is supposedly saying, and then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
What we do know is fair to call a mountain of evidence against Bryan Kohberger in the murders of those 4 innocent college kids at the University of Idaho in Moscow. So I can tell you that he's been talking, and he has been saying that he is, quote, confident that he will be exonerated. And those are his words, exonerated. And I know what you're saying, because if you're a true crime buff and you follow the law, if you're a lawyer, you particularly know there's a difference between being acquitted and exonerated. And he's, you know, a master's in criminology and in a doctoral program before all of this business. And yet he used the word exonerated, not once, but twice. We learned that back in Pennsylvania when he was arrested. That's what his defense attorney, his public defender in Pennsylvania, said, that he looks forward to being exonerated, which I thought was a strange choice of words, because sometimes in common parlance, you'll say that, like, I'm going to be absolved of all of this kind of thing. I'm innocent. But in legal terms, exonerated usually refers to being convicted and then afterwards, upon appeal, being cleared. So I don't know what he's saying. I don't know if he's using the common word exonerated or if he's using the legal word, because he is, you know, criminology master's student, doctoral program, probably knows the difference. But he didn't say the words acquitted. And this is not false bravado, according to our sources. He truly believes he is going to beat the rap. Again, Bryan Kohberger, according to our sources, multiple sources directly connected to this case, saying that he believes, he is confident he's going to be exonerated, that he will beat the rap. Now, here's what I don't know. I don't know how much access he's had to discovery yet. That's his attorney beside him. That's Ann Taylor, the public defender. She is a whip-smart lawyer, one of the best lawyers in Idaho. She is a great attorney. There are the issues that we've discussed on this show, the conflict of interest potential. As we reported last night exclusively, she's met with the judge. The judge has done a review and cleared her of the conflict. That doesn't mean it's the end of the case, because the prosecution, as we're told, is not keen on the idea of her continuing to represent Bryan Kohberger, because who wants to have an appellate issue if they get a conviction in this case? So we don't know how much he's been given in the way of discovery. We don't know how much of the prosecution's case his lawyer has had her hands on and then shared with her client. We don't know how much press reports he's been able to actually consume. There's a TV in the Moscow jail, but it's one, and everybody has to agree to what they watch, and who knows if they want to watch the news. Maybe they want to watch, Dr. Phil. I don't know. But we don't know how much he has seen, and we don't know how much he's consumed about this case. But you, the viewer, if you're watching this program, I know you, and you have seen a lot. It's a mountain of evidence. It is a very strong case, and it's full. It's got this big old basket of something we call bad facts. That's a term. That's a term used in the business, in the legal, industry. Bad facts. They are bad facts for Bryan Kohberger. I'm going to lay them out for you because it's been a minute, right? It's been several months since all of this transpired. He was arrested on the 30th of December. And since then, it's been just sort of like, whoa, so much information has sort of, avalanched out. I want to just get you up to speed to sort of refresh your memory on everything, okay? This is like the scorecard, the prosecution's scorecard. So let's start with the physical evidence at the crime scene. That's the victim's home. First, there was that knife sheath. I think that's numero uno because it had Kohberger's DNA on it, and it was found right next to, Maddie and Kaylee up on that third floor in Maddie's room. That is circumstantial evidence, okay? It's not a witness. It is circumstantial, but it's strong circumstantial evidence. And then there is the direct evidence. Dylan Mortensen, she's an eyewitness. She testified. She hasn't testified, but she told the police that she saw a guy who looked exactly like Bryan Kohberger. She even talked about his bushy eyebrows, and that's pretty smart, having that kind of a clear view of someone. Not only that, she talked about the height and the physique of him. So that was pretty smart. And the police also spotted his white Hyundai Elantra, right? And so that's going to come up in a second. But third, there's the footprint, the latent footprint that was found in blood at the scene. That was outside of Dylan's room. And it's important to note that because Dylan actually said she saw the path of the killer walk by her and head out the kitchen sliding glass door. So if that latent footprint turns out to be his, her testimony lines right up with the path that he took to leave the house. So the next thing I want to talk about is his apartment in Pullman, Washington, because there was some strong evidence that was seized from that apartment as well. So let's go to the next screen in the scorecard. So here's the list. I'm going to go over it quick. A disposable black glove, receipts from Walmart and Marshall's.
So what say you folks? Does Bryan Kohberger have a valid reason to be confident right now? When I look at these cases, I try to approach them as non-biased as possible. And it's kind of hard sometimes. Like in this situation, knowing what I know about this case and the evidence that's been laid out, I'm kind of biased. It's hard for me to believe that Bryan will be exonerated from everything that I've seen. And I'm wondering, if Bryan has access to everything that I've seen, then why is he so confident that he can still beat this case? I know he has a good lawyer on his side. I know that these lawyers are fighting tooth and nail to make sure that Bryan walks free. Why? I don't know. They wouldn't do the same for you. I guarantee you that. I don't care what anyone says. They would not do the same for you. But for Bryan, they will go to the ends of the earth to make sure that Bryan walks away, because the lawyers that are working for Bryan right now are trying to make more of a name for themselves. They want this to be their home run, their big case. that changes their life forever. And they're all getting paid way more for this case than any of the cases that they've probably ever covered. Now, Bryan's confidence, I do think it's misguided. I think it's misplaced. But I want to hear from you all if you think there's a reason why he should still be confident. I'm not here to tell you all that it's impossible for him to beat this case. And in my opinion, I think that if Bryan gets found guilty, he's going to bring up the fact that Ann Taylor worked with these victims' parents, and he's going to call for a mistrial, regardless if he gets one or not. I'm not sure, but I think that's going to happen. But is this confidence that Bryan has, is this a manipulation tactic? To make you feel like he's maybe, more innocent than what he is, or to make you feel like there's a possibility he can get off here? Is this a fake confidence put in place to fool you, to pull the wool over your eyes? Or does Bryan know something that we don't know? We can make all the jokes we want to about Bryan, but Bryan was a smart guy. Bryan knows more about the criminal justice system and about how the courts work and everything than most of us do. I'm perfectly comfortable with saying that. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a judge. I don't work in this field. I don't have an education in this field. Bryan does. Bryan knows more about this process than I do. So if he says he's confident, then maybe he's a more reliable source than even I am when I say that I'm confident that he's going to get locked up. But at the end of the day, I'm not someone that's in this position with my back against the wall that has the need to say something, like what Bryan does. So in my honest, humble opinion, I think Bryan's going to be found guilty. I think this confidence is misplaced. But anything is possible. Anything at all is possible. And that's why I am seeing this story through. I want to make sure that Bryan gets at the very least locked behind bars for the rest of his life. Imagine if Bryan walks free. Just imagine that. Where does your life go from there? And what I mean is, where would Bryan's life go from there? If Bryan's exonerated and he walks free, then what? Bryan would never live a normal life again, and I don't think that even if he was exonerated that people would believe that he didn't do this. But that's a conversation for another day. We'll wait and see how things play out. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe, ring that notification bell, and remember, always remain opinionated.